If this is your first time here, grab a first-time guest card in your seat back and take it to the lobby to receive a free gift. Free coffee is available in Guest Central as well. You'll be with us for about an hour, and we want to invite you to join us as we sing, laugh, and engage in this service. At any point, you can feel free to take pictures and share them on social media. In fact, we'd love for you to take out your cell phone and follow us on Facebook, IG, and Twitter at Active Churches. If you have little ones, check out Active Kids just across the way in our family building for a fun, safe environment for your kids to learn and grow. There's even a cry room for parents with newborns to enjoy the service on our live stream. Thanks again for joining us. We'll begin in just a few moments.
Hey, you never felt this way. Can't stay, so will you stay with me? Slow dance these summer lights. Let's drive around till holding hands. And you need to know that nobody can take your place, your place. And you need to know that you keep me up all night, all night. Oh, my heart's so good, I love you, babe, so bad, so bad. Oh, my heart is so good, I love you, babe, so bad, so bad. Man, cooling on my clothes, man, warm when you get close to me. Slow dance these summer nights, and our disco ball's my kitchen light. And you need to know that nobody can take your place, your place. And you need to know that love sits with your face, your face. Oh, my heart is so good, I love you, babe, so bad, so bad. Oh, my heart is so good, I love you, babe, so bad, so bad. Hey, good morning, Active Church. We're so excited to be here with you this morning. We're gonna stand up and we're gonna sing out and worship. Let's get our hands together. And while I was searching, your love was never far. You made a way to get to me. You were the whisper leading me to your heart. Forever I belong to you. Now I can see clearly, my God, you are for me. And you won't let go. And your love won't let me down. And I know it's true. Yeah, I know that your love is all around. I believe in you, holding on to you, holding on, and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Your love won't let me down. Come on, let's break free, come on. Your love won't let me down. Hands up, everyone. Your love won't let me down. Oh, oh, oh. Right when I need you, you listen as I pray. You leave the night for me. You paint the skies with promises of your grace. So I will find my way to you. Now I can see clearly, my God, you are for me. And you won't let go. And your love is all around. And I know it's true. I believe in you. Love is all around. I believe in you. Holding on to you. Holding on, and I know you will never fail. I want all of you. You never change. Your love won't let me down. Your love won't let me down. Come on, we're gonna celebrate this morning. You love, Lord. Oh, and your love won't let me down. And your love won't let me down. Come on, hands up, everyone. Holding on, and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Your love won't let me down. Come on, let's lift them up.
Woo! Good morning, everybody. No, that's still low. I think you guys can do much better than that. Good morning, Active. Okay, that's better. No? Okay.
My name is Ricardo. I'm the worship drummer here, and I'm part of the creative team here at Active.
And I'm Desiree. I'm his wife. I'm the social media lead strategist here at Active. All the stuff you see on Instagram and Facebook, me and the creative team behind you take care of all of that. Give us a follow if you're not yet.
So, little fun fact, we've actually are newlyweds. We just got married 4 months ago. Thank you. And another little fun fact, today is actually 7 years that I asked her to be my girlfriend. So we're celebrating that today.
That's right, guys. We're newlyweds, 4 months married out here on this stage in September. And 7 years ago, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I said yes, and look at us now. We just wanted to let you know that if this is your first time here, that you are loved, you are welcomed. We love you. And if you are a first-time guest, in the back of your seats, in your seat back, there's a first-time guest card. Go ahead and fill that out. Take it on out to the center guest central kiosk right out these double doors. We'd love to hook you up with some Active Church merch after the service.
There's also a Tithe Challenge card on the back of your seat and a baptism card. Baptism is coming up really soon, February 4th. So if you've ever been interested in getting baptized or have any questions, take that baptism card, take it to the back of Guest Central, and you'll be ready to go for baptism. It's something that we really, really celebrate here at Active.
Yes, we love baptism. Actually, about 3 years ago, my husband and I got baptized right there in that center stage with Mike. He baptized us, and we were still dating. He hadn't even asked me out to be your, well, actually, no, he hadn't proposed yet. I was already your girlfriend. But today is a really special message, which is why the team brought us out together, because we're going to be talking about the good old topic of...
Marriage.
No, okay, is marriage not a good topic? Marriage. Okay, there we go. Don't scare us. 4 months, guys. Marriage. Okay, there we go.
So we're still learning how to be married, trust us, and we're learning from a lot of our friends like James and Mike and some amazing people here at Active. But Mike specifically is going to be talking today of how to have a gritty marriage.
How to have a gritty marriage and how to make it last in the long haul. And we just wanted to encourage you guys to listen up, be attentive, and also...
Let's have some fun. So let's greet each other. Let's look behind us, to our left, to our right, give a handshake, high five, or a big hug. We're going to continue worshiping in a bit. Thank you, guys.
All right, church, we're going to continue to worship this morning. Let's find our way back. Your love so great, Jesus, in all things. I've seen a glimpse of your heart a billion years. Still I'll be singing. How can I praise you enough? How can I praise you enough? Come on, we want to hear you sing. You are the Lord. 'Cause you are the Lord Almighty. Come on. Outshining all the stars in glory. Yeah. Your love is like the widest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Yeah. Creation calls, oh, to the Savior. We are alive for your praise. In earth and sky, no one is higher. Our God of wonders you reign. Our God of wonders you reign. Come on, every voice, let's sing this out together. 'Cause you are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the widest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Sing it again. 'Cause you are the Lord Almighty, yeah. Outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the widest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Yeah. Not to us, not to us, but to your name we lift up, oh, praise. Sing it out. Not to us, but to your name we lift up.
Come on, we're gonna declare this.
Oh, praise. We say, not to us, but to your name we lift up. Oh, praise Jesus. Not to us, but to your name we lift lift up our praise. Yeah, sing it out. Not to us, but to your name. We lift up, we'll call praise. We say, not to us, but to your name. Say, we lift up all praise, Jesus. Not to us, but to your name. We lift up all praise. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. One more time, lift it up. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Oh, nothing else compares. Church, we learned this song last week together. Gives us the chance to sing out the name of Jesus. Let's focus our minds and our hearts and sing.
Peace, bring it all to peace. The storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name still, call the sea to still, the raging me to still, every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Call these bones to live, call these lungs to sing once again. I will praise Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear. Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus.
Sing it again.
Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus.
Sing your name. Come on.
Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus.
Just gonna sing out the name of Jesus together. Let's lift our hands, lift our voices. Jesus, Jesus.
Jesus, Jesus,
Your name, your name.
your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name
Church, so great to worship with you this morning. Right now, go ahead and have a seat. Check out the screen.
Hey church, we wanted to let you know about something. On February 18th, we're launching a series called Active Church is Worldly. Now, worldly might seem like a strange connection to church. You might go, those two things don't go together, but we believe that they do. See, when you're for someone, there's really a lean that comes after it. Like when you're for your friends, you're friendly. And we believe if you're for the world, you're worldly. And where we get that is from John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him will not die, but have eternal life. And because we love God, we are for the world because God is for the world. We wanted to let you know about it. You're going to see these posters all around town. These are the talking points. God is for the world. We're for the world. Active Church is worldly.
What's up, Active Church? My name's Megan.
And I'm Shauna, and we want to thank you for joining us today, in service and online as well.
We are so happy you've joined us this morning, and if today is your first time at Active Church, we would love to hook you up with a free gift.
Grab a first-time guest card and take it to the Guest Central kiosk located in the lobby, and we will hook you up with some awesome Active merch.
Also located in your seat backs are our Tithe Challenge card and baptism cards.
Baptism Sunday is just around the corner, so please hit up one of our activators if you have any questions or you need more information on baptism.
If you have never been part of one of our Baptism Sundays before, you are in for an amazing experience, and we hope you'll join us.
We've got some more information for you, so check it out.
Connection group signups have begun, and you can join a group today by signing up at a table in the lobby.
We have so many great leaders and groups to fit different personalities and life stages. So don't miss this opportunity to invest in your life and the lives of others. Sign up for a connection group today.
Also coming soon, Sunday, February 4th is Super Bowl Sunday. We want to encourage you to start the day off white, come to church, and then stay to hang out afterwards for a little pregame party.
And nothing says Super Bowl like wings! We will have all sorts of wings, snacks, and drinks available to kick off the big game.
So don't miss church, Sunday, February 4th, Super Bowl Sunday.
Megan, I think you mean Super Soul Sunday.
Yes, forgive me.
Baptism Sunday, February 4th. And if you or anyone you know is interested in getting baptized, you can sign up in the lobby today.
The following Sunday, February 11th, is our First Step experience. You do not want to miss this chance for a one-on-one time with all of our active staff and a time to learn more in depth about the heartbeat of our church.
You'll hear directly from Pastor Mike, and we'll be together for about an hour. Free lunch and childcare is provided. So join us February 11th after the 10:45 service for First Step.
That's all for announcements today. Now we're going to move into a time we call communion.
Our leaders are coming forward, and you'll receive a communion stack of a cracker and a cup of juice. If this is your first time in a setting like this, please don't feel pressured to take communion this morning.
For the rest of you, remember that we take communion as a reminder of Jesus' sacrifice and love for us.
Feel free to participate by taking communion as soon as you receive the cracker and juice.
When you are finished, you can find a cup holder in the seat back in front of you. Place your empty cups there.
Thanks for being with us today. Our service will continue in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Mike. Right now in the room, they're practicing what we call communion. It's a great unifying moment, and it's a way that we honor Jesus. And while they're doing that, we just wanted to tell you what happens throughout the week here at Active Church. Tuesday night is Active Youth, ages 6th grade to 12th grade. And it's an incredible night of small groups, big time worship, big time message, and a great way to join a community. If you're interested, we'd love for you to come and hang out with us. Small groups start at 6 p.m. and they run till 7 p.m. And then our big group time starts at 7 p.m. And we'd love for you to come and hang out with us. Again, 6th grade to 12th grade. Also throughout the week and all over the Yucaipa area and surrounding cities, we have connection groups. These are groups from 8 to 12 people. They gather together, they discuss things, talk about things, engage with God and with others. They eat together. It's a great way to find your fam, your crew, your community, and we would love for you to jump into a connection group here at Active Church. Well, hello, Active Church. How are you this morning? It is great to be with you. I'm honored that you would come and hang out with us this weekend. If you're in the room or you're watching online, thanks for being a part of our services today. My name's Mike. I'm one of the pastors here, and we gave you a great clue as to where we're going today just in that video, and you heard this morning that we're talking a little bit about marriage. Specifically, we're going to be talking to those who are coupling today, all right? But if you're new around here, we want to catch you up. We're in the series called Grit, and this is week 4. And grit was something that was developed by an author and a speaker named Angela Duckworth. And she wrote about what she saw in the people that she served and what would make them effective, what would make them influential, what was the determining factor for them actually accomplishing something great. And the thing that she found was grit. And grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. So setting up a goal that you want to accomplish and then getting there because of your passion and your perseverance. Your passion being what you're convicted of. This is the best way forward. And your perseverance saying that you are going to rise to the occasion. And she did all of these studies and she came to this conclusion that success is really determined on grit. And so week 1, we talked about what it means for us to have grit. Really the best place for us to discover what the goal is and to express our passion and our perseverance. So we talked about the space that God creates for us, the space of grit. And what we discovered is that God is in this thing with us for the long haul. Week 2, we talked about the goal of grit. What is it that we're setting up in our lives? And we talked about how Jesus directs our path that leads us to the place, and the best place to be is side by side in relationship with Him. And then last week we talked about the people of grit and how we all need someone to get us from where we are to where we want to be. And how often we want to be known for something, but it's more important for us to be known by someone. And today we're going to talk to those who have a desire to couple, and we're going to talk to those that are coupling, all right? And what I mean by coupling is that if you're in relationship with someone, maybe you're married, maybe you're engaged, maybe you're dating, maybe you share a home, or you share a family, or you don't want to be in a relationship, but you are in a relationship, and you don't want to talk about it, but you're coupling, right? We want to talk to all of those that are interested in moving into a relationship. There's something interesting that's unique about all of us, that there are certain things in our life that we would label this way. Listen, we don't want to work on it. We just want it to work. We don't want to work on it. We just want it to work. And there are a few things in my life that I don't want to work on. I just want it to work, okay? So like my phone. I don't want to work on my phone. I just want my phone to work, right? And when you pull it out and it doesn't do what you want it to do, how come it's not, right? And then you put it, for some reason, we put it here, the closer it gets to our brain, maybe it'll start working. And it's frustrating. And the most knowledge I have of a phone is, well, if I power it off and I power it back on, will it work, right? We don't want to work on it, we just want it to work. Or maybe for you, you're like me, where it's your car. You don't want to work on it, you just want it to work. And when you get into the car in the morning to go to work or to take the kids to school, whatever it is you're doing, and you turn the key and it says, excuse me, instead of starting, you know that that's a problem. Last year I had a truck and the truck wasn't running right. And I called my friend who comes to Active Church, and he's a mechanic, but he doesn't want anybody to know he's a mechanic because, you know, when you have a mechanic friend, it's like gold, right? And so I called him up and I said, hey, would you come over and look at this? He said, sure. And so I did what everybody does when your car's not working. I popped the hood, I put it up, and I put the little stick underneath it, and I stood there like this. Because I guess that's what you do. And so he pulls into my driveway, he gets out, and he goes, hey, Mike, and I go, hey. And he goes, what's wrong? And I'm like, I have no idea what's wrong. And within 3 minutes, he diagnosed the problem. And I hate him because he diagnosed the problem. No, actually, I love him, and I'm grateful for him. But we don't want to work on our cars, we just want it to work. Or maybe for you, you don't want to work on your kids, you just want your kids to work, don't you? Have you ever had a moment, parents, have you ever had a moment where you looked at your kid and you're like, you are not mine. I don't know where you came from, you are not my spawn, you are the spawn of Satan, because this is not who I am, right? And maybe for you, you have older kids and you're like, no, I really want them to work. They're 38 and I'm still paying them allowance. Like I need them to get a job. I mean, there are things in our life that we don't want to work on, we just want it to work. And I think one of the things that falls into that category is our relationships. You know, the ones that we're coupling in, the ones that we're wanting to do or not wanting to do. You know, those relationships that are fun sometimes and difficult other times. Often we find ourselves going, if it's not broken down on the side of the road, do we really need to talk about it? And the answer is yes. And you know that, and I know that. Because there are intangibles in our relationship that we need to have, and we can't create them. They're things that we can't put our hands on, but they're necessary for our relationship. Here's 3 of them that I want you to see, and there's a laundry list of intangibles. But in every relationship, we all want to be respected. Nobody wants to be disrespected. In every relationship, we all want to be prioritized. Nobody wants to be second or third. We didn't sign up for that. And in every relationship, we all want to be trusted because trust builds security. But often, when it comes to our relationships, it's the thing that we're not really thinking about because there's a lot of other things that we could be working on, like getting the kids ready for something or working on this project for the school or working on this project at work or working in the yard or working on something else. And when it comes to our relationships, often we have it take a back seat. And I don't think I need to convince you that it's important for us to work and lean in on our relationships because the statistics are pretty awful, aren't they? I mean, in America itself, 50% of relationships fail. 50%. These stats blew my mind that each day there's 6,000 to 7,000 divorces. Each week, over 40,000 people decide, I think I'm done. And what we do when we're married, we go, well, I don't want to become that. I'm afraid to become that. And so then we become anxious and fearful about making all the right decisions. And then there's another group of people that go, well, this isn't what we want. We don't want to jump into a marriage relationship. We don't want to end up that way. And so this is why you haven't gotten married. And then maybe you're a single person and you're like, I'm single by choice because I don't want to have to go through that. And we allow fear to drive us into a direction that maybe we never intended to go. And what I've learned about fear is that fear causes us to run from something, not run to something. Fear causes you to run with your head looking back instead of running with your face forward. And we should never make decisions. It's never a good idea to make decisions based off of fear. And what we're learning over the last couple of weeks and what we'll learn again today is that everybody has to make the gritty choice. That everybody has to make a deliberate decision about their life. But more importantly, for those of us that are coupling, I want to share with you the single most important choice that every gritty couple can make. The single most important choice that every couple that wants to be gritty can make. And it's not something that I created because I am not the expert. And it's not something that our team created because we are not the expert. It's something that we've discovered in the pages of the Bible. It was written by a man named Paul, who wasn't married, by the way. Some theologians believe that he was at one point, and then when he came to know Jesus, his wife didn't want anything to do with that because he was a good Jewish man, and when he met Jesus and his life changed, there are some theologians that believe that his wife left him. There's no history to teach us that or tell us that, but some of the things that he says gives us some clues as to what happened in Paul's life. And he writes about relationships. More importantly, he writes about this decision that gritty couples can make that could change everything for us. And he's writing to a group of people that are not of his culture or of his background. See, he's a good Jewish man. So he's aware of God. He's aware of how God works. He's aware that God parted the Red Sea. He's aware of God bringing people out of Egypt, the Israelites out of Egypt. He's aware of God doing a lot of really great things, and he's even more intimately aware of God because of Jesus. But the people he's writing to are people that were not aware of God. In fact, they're just becoming aware of Jesus. And it was blowing their minds. They were fascinated with this Jesus and how Jesus operated. Because in their world, there were multiple gods. And in Paul's world, there was one God. And Paul begins to write one of the first letters of the New Testament to a group of people in a city called Corinth. And they were people that were learning to follow Jesus, and he wanted to help them follow Jesus. And he's writing to them, and he's writing a very convincing and compelling letter to explain to them how God works in this world and how it ultimately influences and affects us. And in this letter, he writes about the gritty thing that every couple needs to make. Every decision that you can make could be based off of this gritty thing. See, in their world, everything was many. There was many gods that you could worship. And the focus of the worship was just about the God. In fact, it was vertical. It was a vertical worship. And when you would worship the gods of the Greeks or you would worship the gods of that time, everything was vertical. And it was about how well you treated those gods. There was no morality. There was no virtue. It didn't matter how you treated one another. In fact, some of their worship celebrations were very undignifying. They would take advantage of each other's bodies. It would be completely inappropriate to our standards today. And yet everybody worshiped these gods in a very vertical way. And that was the goal. I wanted to honor this God because if I honored this God, then maybe things will go well for me. Maybe I'll get the job, maybe I'll get the resource, maybe my family will actually be put back together. I want to honor this God, and everything was vertical. And then Paul writes them a letter and says, let me tell you about the Jesus that you know. And that the Jesus you know, it's not vertical. In fact, Jesus would say that everything is horizontal. That if you loved God, the one true God, if you wanted to honor Jesus, the best way that you would honor Jesus is not a sacrifice to him, but love that would extend horizontally. That everything that you believed in, The God that you worshiped, that brought belief to you, brought salvation to you, brought faith to you, brought courage to you, the best expression of loving this God would not be vertical, but horizontal. Are you with me? Everything would go out from you. If you wanted to honor this God, you would love horizontally. How you felt about this God would show up in how you treated other people. And so Paul is writing this compelling letter, and he's convincing them of this powerful truth that a relationship with God is not vertical, but it's horizontal. And he writes it in a letter that you and I are probably really familiar with. You might have heard it at your wedding if you're married, or you might have heard it at somebody else's wedding. It's the love chapter in the Bible. And it's talked about all the time. It gets quoted on Pinterest often. People will take it and paste it onto like plywood and put it in their house because it's a beautiful, romantic verse by verse by verse. And yet Paul is not writing in a romantic way. Paul is actually writing in a very convincing and compelling way. It's actually not supposed to be romantic. It's supposed to be powerful for these people as they read it. And when I start to read it, you'll go, oh, I know what you're talking about. But think through the lens of these people moving from a vertical God to a horizontal relationship with God. That everything that God brings to me overflows horizontally to the people around me. And Paul begins this letter in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1. He says this: if I speak in the tongues of men and angels, but I don't have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. See, I could have a lot of skill. I could find my gifting and my talent, and it could impress you. It could blow your mind. You would say, wow, that is incredible. And what Paul is saying here is I could speak in all sorts of tongues, and I could have all of these great languages that I talk about and all these skills that I have. But if I don't have love, I'm just a lot of noise. See, you could say about me personally, well, I really like how Mike can stand on a stage and talk. And I would say, why, thank you. But if you based my character off of my skill, what Paul is saying is that's kind of foolish. Because all that my skill is without love is a lot of noise. If you want to know about my character, you know who you need to talk to? My wife. Talk to my wife. Find out how I have loved her this way. Talk to my kids. Ask them how daddy loves them. Talk to my friends. Ask my friends about the character of Mike. Because if we base our love off of skill, it's just a lot of noise. And then in verse 2, Paul continues. He says this: if I have the gift of prophecy, which is futuristic, seeing what God is up to and being able to speak clearly about what God wants and what God doesn't want. If I have that gift and I can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge, but I don't have love, I gain nothing. I gain nothing. See, I could be knowledgeable. And maybe for you, you've been a long-time Christian, whether you're in the room or you're watching online, you've been a long-time Christian, and you can say that you've read the Bible cover to cover. And you could say that I've memorized all of these verses, that you know theology really, really well, that you are strong in this. Or maybe there's other things. Maybe there's skills that you've learned as an employee. Maybe the church world is new to you, and so as an employee, you've learned all of these skills. You are top-notch terrific when it comes to sawing that tree down, or working on that car, or making the cell phone work, right? That's what you do. And what Paul says is, all of that knowledge means nothing if you don't have love. In fact, the depth of a person is not measured by knowledge, but love. And speaking to the Christians in the room and watching online, you can know everything there is to know about God, but if it doesn't express itself horizontally, Paul says you've gained nothing. You can know every verse, You can know all about salvation and all about theology and all about the world that Jesus lived in. But if it doesn't express itself in love, it's not deep. It means that you really haven't grasped a hold of what you've come to know. Because the depth of a person is measured by their love, not by their knowledge. And then in verse 3, he says this: if I give all I possess to the poor and I surrender my body to the flames, but I don't have love, I gain nothing. Generosity is something that we talk a lot about here at Active Church. It's something that we hold up very high. We want to be a church that is known for open hands. And yet what Paul is saying here is, let me just compare a couple of things. First, if you have all of this skill but you don't have love, it means nothing. And then second, if you have all of this knowledge and you don't have love, it means nothing. And third, if you have all of this material possession and you're giving it away, you even have given away your body, but if it's not done out of love, you've gained nothing. In fact, what Paul, I think, would say to us here is anyone who gives to get gets nothing from God. If the motivation is to get something from you, then God goes, I see that, and that's not why we give. Because the motivation is to receive something back. You've gained nothing if it's not done out of love. And there's a two-word phrase that Paul keeps using as he's contrasting these two things in the first 3 verses. And that two-word phrase is this one: have love. He talks about it how he's got it in his possession. It's something that belongs to him. It's something that belongs to you. But when we talk about love, often we talk about it in more of the emotional feeling sort of way, right? Love is yay, right? Like this is what I looked like when I first asked my wife to be my girlfriend. Like I was like, Tiffany, be my girlfriend. She said yes. And I think I skipped. I think I was like so excited about that. And you know what it's like for those of you that have experienced love. Like there's a moment where you're just like, oh, they like me and then they love me. And then there's just this feeling of butterflies and cupcakes and everything is right in the world. It doesn't matter what's happening. You're just thrilled that somebody loves you. And you write down, when I was a kid, your phone number plus their phone number. Did anybody else do? It was just me. Okay, great. What Paul is talking about is not the feeling and the emotion of love. What Paul is talking about is the stuff you do. That's love. The actions that you take. How love moves from vertical to horizontal. It was Mother Teresa that had an incredible quote, and she said that we do things for people not because of who they are or what they do in return, but because, and I love this, of who you are. Love is the stuff you do. Love is the action you take. Love is not based on your thoughts and your feelings. That is a portion of love. But if everything was based on our thoughts and feelings, can you imagine how crazy each day would be if we just went off of our thoughts and our feelings? Love is the deep conviction that this is the best way forward. And what Paul is saying to us is this is the stuff that you do when you have love. And then he just goes for it. He contrasts a couple of things, and then in verse 4, he just goes for it. And he begins to lay out the stuff that we do. He says this: love is patient. And maybe you could even quote it. Maybe you even know it already, right? Love is kind, does not envy, it does not boast, and it is not proud. That love always is a race to the back of the line. That love always looks to put you first before it puts itself first. That love is not looking to one-up each other. And he continues, verse 5, he says this: it's not rude, it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. That in the tug-of-war match, it lets go of the rope. And it will not dishonor you publicly, because that's not what love does. And if love is the things that we do, then we will do what love does. And then in verse 6, He says, love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. Now, this is a bit tricky. And I want to share with you the single most important thing that every gritty couple needs to make, the decision they need to make. And this verse, in light of that, will make sense. So we're going to come back to that in just a minute, okay? I want to jump to verse 7. Verse 7 says this, that it always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. That love trends positive. That love holds on. And listed there is the single most important thing that you as a gritty couple, you as someone in a relationship, you as someone who's coupling, the single most important decision you can make is listed there. And it's this word here, trust. Now, I know that trust seems like a reaction, doesn't it? And I also know that trust seems a bit naive. Those might be the two pushbacks that you would have this morning, and maybe in your heart and in your mind. Trust, in what Paul is saying here, trust is defined this way: always believes. Trust always believes. To which you go, yeah, that's naive, not wise. And yeah, that seems like a reaction, not a decision. How many of you have ever been to a t-ball game and watched maybe nieces, nephews, your kids play t-ball? You ever been to a t-ball game? Isn't it just fascinating to watch what happens in a game when the ball's hit? It is like watching the sugar cube get hit into the center of the field and all of the ants running to the sugar cube, isn't it? It is the most amazing scene when the ball is hit. Every player on the field just runs to the ball. Not too long ago, I went to my nephew Trenton's t-ball game. And at the game, the ball was hit. And just like clockwork, just like magic, just like a snap of a finger, everybody runs to the ball. And then the coach said something that I thought was so profound and so brilliant. As they're all running to the ball, some have their gloves on their heads, some have their hats backwards, some stopped and went, you know how it is, right? Coach yells out, same team, same team, same team. And everybody breaks and goes, and one person who's closest to the ball picks up the ball, and everybody went back to their positions and they were able to throw it back in. And I looked over to my wife and I said, that is brilliant. He must gonna give them some sort of popsicle afterwards, right? Like they're getting smoothies or something. Same team, same team, same team. And what Paul is communicating to us here is that when we always choose to trust, when we always choose to believe, what we're announcing in our relationship is we're on the same team. I am not standing against you. I might disagree with you, but we're on the same team. Here's why this is important. From time to time, in our relationships, there is a gap between what we expect and what we experience. And we have a decision to make on what we fill that gap with. Because what you expect is one thing and what you experience is another. And whatever your relationship is, however you're coupling, you and I both have a decision in those relationships to fill the gap with something. And we have two choices because it's a choice. We have a choice to believe the best, or we have a choice to assume the worst. Oh, they did it again. They told me they weren't going to do it again, but they did it again. Oh, there must be something up because they wouldn't do that on purpose. There must be an issue because they wouldn't be late intentionally and try to make me mad. There's a great difference between the two, isn't there? And from time to time, when we confront the situation of here's what I expected and here's what I experienced, we have a choice. It's not naive, it's wise. It's not a reaction, it's a choice. We have a choice of what we're going to put in that gap, and we can either assume the worst or we can believe the best. Marcus Buckingham is a leader and a speaker and just an incredibly brilliant man. Got to hear him speak last year, and he shared some really great leadership things for our team that we have implemented here, and he's just an incredible guy. And he wrote a book a few years ago called The One Thing You Need to Know. And in this book, they did a study of couples, and they wanted to discover the grittiness of couples and what made them gritty. And so they did a 20-year study of couples. And what was the key factor in why they were gritty? And they walked in with a few assumptions. They walked in with one assumption that was huge, that the longer that couples have been together, the longer they probably don't really like each other, and so they make excuses for each other. That was one of their assumptions. What they discovered was the exact opposite. That the longer that couples were together, gritty couples were together, something happened in their relationship, that they began to see the person that they're in relationship with, whether they were married or they were in a long-term committed relationship, the person that they're in relationship with, they began to see them as more virtuous. They began to see them with greater morals. In fact, they gave them a test to rate themselves and their spouse, and they always, every single time, rated themselves lower than how they rated their spouse. So for example, if it was Tiff and I would rate her higher than me, and then when she would take the same test, she would rate herself lower than me. Like, we would always see each other as greater. And what they found in this test and what they found in these couples is that they had this perspective of one another that was extremely positive. And his team, Marcus and his team, came to the conclusion that what this caused in their relationship is what they called an upward spiral of love. That love just continued to build. And that upward spiral of love did something really fascinating in the relationship. It took the illusion that my spouse or my partner is greater than me, and it created the conviction that they are greater than me. That they do have greater values, that I see them in this incredible positive light. And then that conviction led to security, where I'm safe in this relationship. I'm trusted in this relationship. I'm cared for in this relationship. And that security fostered intimacy. And that is the thing that every one of us is pursuing. We want intimacy, where fear does not exist, where I can stand in front of my spouse, in front of my partner, whoever I'm coupling with, and I can be honest and open and real and authentic and not receive judgment, and they can do the same thing back. And intimacy fostered love. The things and the stuff that you do. And then here was their recommendation. Are you ready for this? Their recommendation after all of their study was this: find the most generous explanation for each other's behavior and believe it. Gritty couples are not naive, they're wise. Gritty couples don't react, they choose to find the most generous explanation for the behavior of their person that they're with, spouse, partner, whatever it is, and they believe it. And years ago, centuries ago, a man named Paul wrote the very same thing. There's a gap between what you expect and what you experience. And you can believe the best, or you can assume the worst. It's your choice. And there are two obstacles to that. Those two obstacles are what you experience and who you are. Because maybe you're walking into this relationship with a history of unhealth, with a history of nonsense, with a history of everything that you don't want in a relationship. And the reality is, and I think you and I both know this, is that when you jump from one relationship to the next, all you're doing is just changing the face of the person that you're in relationship with if you choose to not deal with what you've experienced and ultimately who you are. Because often we'll just move to somebody else that for a time might meet all of our emotional needs. But in reality, emotion can die and then love needs to rise, and that's the stuff you do. That's the decisions you make. And so when you've experienced something unhealthy in the past, it's important to focus on how to heal from that. Because who you are can either sabotage your relationship or build up your relationship. Who you are can either destroy your intimacy or foster and grow your intimacy. And the reality is if you assume the worst, you'll find the worst, won't you? If you assume the worst, you'll find the worst. In fact, suspicion is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're suspicious, you will find something wrong. They may be calculated, your partner may be calculated, and they may be doing everything right. And you might think, well, why are they calculated? Why are they doing that? Why are they taking those? This is why we need to evaluate what we experience and really work on who we are. Because often we don't even consider those things. We just think that the right person will fix me when I get into that relationship with them. And that's called the right person myth. Because it's a myth. Nobody fixes you. Jesus saves you. Nobody fixes you. Jesus saves you. And that's why we can't live a life of grit without Jesus. And in light of this truth, I want to go back to the verse that I said was a bit tricky. In verse 6, it says this: love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. Love keeps short accounts. Love never starts a conversation. 6 months ago, when you did this when we first got married, that's not a part of the language of love. Love deals with the issue as soon as it can be dealt with. In an honest, compassionate, we're on the same team sort of way. And then again, verse 7 says this: it always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. Because love chooses a generous explanation. It's not naive, it's wise. It's not a reaction, it's a choice. Love always chooses a generous explanation. So I want to consider a question that I want you to process and I want you to think about, and it's this: do you assume the worst or believe the best? Because if you assume the worst, here are the options. The options are to delight in uncovering mistakes. Gotcha! Who wants to be in that type of a relationship? Thriving on speculation. How come they haven't texted me back? How come I haven't heard from them? Why do they stay up late and not come to bed? Or embrace doubt? And here's an even deeper question. For those of you that have kids, what would you say to your kids? You know what's great? A great relationship, kids, is when you live this way. This is fantastic. You and I both know that that's not true. You and I both know that that's awful. Nobody wants to live that way, but often we choose to live that way. Why? Because we fill the gap with assuming the worst. And this is why I would encourage you, if you miss anything else today, this is what I would encourage you with. This is what I would challenge you with. I would want to tattoo it across your forehead. Choose to trust, choose to trust, choose to trust. It's not naive, it's wise. It's not a reaction, it's a choice. And what I've learned in relationships that I've been in, and maybe you've learned this as well, and what we're taught from what Marcus has researched and what Paul has written from the very pages of the Bible, is that the people that you want to let down the least are the people you trust the most. And high trust environments are environments of acceptance. That I love you just the way that you are, not as you should be. Because that's what God says to us. And so we say that to one another. And then I love the invitation, and I can't wait to journey with you and help you to discover, and as I discover what we could be. And I really believe that believing the best begins by choosing to be the best. Something that's been trending lately, and maybe you've seen it, are stories of kids who have been raised by a stepfather or a stepmother. And they've invited the stepfather or stepmother to officially adopt them. This was one story, and you can see the pictures here, of a 17-year-old girl that was raised by her stepfather from a very young age. And she saw him as dad. And recently at Christmas, she created a gift and gave it to him, and he opened it up, and it was adoption papers. And before she could say any words, you could tell that his reaction was, "This is awesome." But after they finished hugging, she shared something that was so profound that just moved me. She said, "For 13 years, you have been my stepfather. But in your actions, you've been my father. And today, I am asking you to call me by my right name. I don't want to be your stepchild. I want to be your daughter. No longer do I want to have this name, but I want my true name because I want my true father." And what I love about this story is that it's a modeled story that we find in the Bible in how God interacts with us. That God does not call us by the names of our actions or our sins, but he calls us by our true name. In fact, one of my favorite Chinese proverbs, maybe you've heard it, maybe you found it in a fortune cookie one time, but one of my favorite Chinese proverbs is the beginning of wisdom is to call things by their right name. And do you know where that comes from? It comes from the pages and from the mouth of God. It's the words of God. Isaiah wrote this call from God down to the Israelites and to you and I. Do not be afraid. I've redeemed you. I've called you by your name. You are mine. You are mine. When I see my wife today, I'm going to call her Babe, because that's our nickname. When I see my daughter today, I'm going to call her Scooby, because that's her nickname. When I see my youngest daughter today, I'm going to call her Tootsie. And when I see Gavin today, my middle boy, I'm going to call him Chief. And when he's in trouble, I call him Homie. I don't know why, but I do. Because I know them. I'm going to call them by the name that I know them by, because that's who they are. They're my kids and my wife. And believing the best might begin by being the best. And I realize that in this room and watching online, there are people who are coupling in all sorts of different relationships. And maybe today could be a significant day for you. It could be a changing day for you, because your name could change today from boyfriend to husband. Your name could change today from girlfriend to wife. We're Active Church. And so we don't do things small. We do things that we believe will bring life change, because that's the God that we worship. And as a church, we want to offer an invitation to each couple that has not chosen to be married, and we want to throw you a wedding. On February 11th, we want to have a gigantic, massive, huge wedding in this place. A day where you could take a step, not just believe the best, but be the best. I looked at some statistics that it costs for a wedding, an average cost is $27,000. We're only going to charge you half. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. If you've been around long enough, you know that we don't do things small. We have a great team, we have great activators, we have great people, and we believe that we want to create a space where people can take the next step. And maybe for you, that next step is that it's time for you to become the best, because God's word says that marriage is one of the best decisions that you can make. And so perhaps today, you and the person you're coupling with could talk through what it looks like to actually take a step to get married. We're gonna connect you with some couples who are doing marriage well. They're gonna teach you and help prepare you for the day on February 11th, but then they're also gonna spend some time with you after the day, because it's important to prepare for the day, but it's what comes after the day that's most important. We're gonna decorate this place. It's gonna look like a wedding ceremony. We're gonna have cake. We're gonna have professional photographers. If your family can't come and that's one of your excuses, we're gonna have it live streaming, so tell them to log on. We've extended this invitation because we believe in marriage so much, but more importantly, we believe in you, and we believe in you becoming the best. And we wanna see you take that step. And so today, out in our lobby, there's 2 tables with a card that looks just like this. And on it, it has an opportunity for you to get married. And what we're asking is that you would discuss that with the person you're coupling with today. You would check that box, fill out the card, and then you would leave it at one of our 2 tables in the lobby. And married people, we haven't forgotten about you, because we want to invite you to take a step, maybe to renew your vows, not because things have been awful, but as a way of affirming that I want to continue to be the best. And I want to continue to believe the best, because we believe that love is horizontal. And so maybe for you, you could talk to the person you're coupling with, and you could discuss, hey, wouldn't it be great if we renewed our vows on February 11th? Wouldn't it be fantastic to see hundreds and hundreds of people stand before God and each other and renew, or for the first time commit to saying yes to what love truly is? And love is believing the best by becoming the best, because love is horizontal, and we want to create an on-ramp for you to say yes to that. And I know that as you mull this over, you might have some things that you need to discuss. And so we want to give you just some space to do that. We want to give you some space to think. And so in just a minute, our team's gonna play a song for you. But I first just want to pray over you. And I want to invite you to take a step towards getting married. Take a step towards renewing your vows. Take a step towards becoming the best version of you. That's gritty. That's gritty. And so God, I pray for those that are considering this, that are thinking about this. God, I pray that you would remove every barrier, every obstacle, every excuse, and just whisper in their ear, it's time. It's time. It's time. And so as they consider, as they think that their past experiences would be healed and melted away, that their broken hearts would be healed and melted away, and that the foundation that they begin to stand on starting today would be the name of Jesus Christ that would hold them together. So I pray that there would be many, many couples that would say yes to saying yes to each other, and to saying yes to you, and saying yes to marriage. And we say all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Y'all can stay seated. I wonder if Jack and Diane ever made it after the drums and the guitars all faded. Was the best they could do good enough, or did the heartland just swallow them up? How did my mom and my dad ever do it? If there were struggles, then we never knew it. I guess they had each other, and that was enough. 'Cause you can't keep the ground from shaking. No matter how hard you try, can't keep the sunsets from fading. Gotta treat your life like you're jumping off a rope swing, baby, 'cause the whole thing's really just a shot in the dark. You gotta love like there's no such thing as a broken heart. You gotta love like there's no such thing as a broken heart. What am I gonna tell my kids when they see all of this garbage that goes down on TV? When the whole world is down on its luck, I gotta make sure they keep their chin up. Cry when it hurts, laugh when it's funny. Chase after the dream, don't chase after the money. And know we've got each other, and that's what's up. 'Cause you can't keep the ground from shaking. No matter how hard you try, can't keep the sunsets from fading. Gotta treat your life like you're jumping off a rope swing, baby, 'cause the whole thing's really just a shot in the dark. You gotta love like there's no such thing as a broken heart. You gotta love like there's no such thing as a Come on, help us out. There's no such thing as a broken heart. Go! 'Cause you can't keep the ground from shaking. No matter how hard you try, can't keep the sunsets from fading. Gotta treat your life like you're jumping off a rope swing, baby, 'cause the whole thing's really just a shot in the dark. You gotta love like there's no such thing as a broken heart. You gotta love, love, love. Oh, you gotta love, love, love. Yeah, you gotta love like there's no such thing as a broken heart.
So what will it be? That's the question that we would lay before you today. We believe in this so much, and we believe in you so much because we have a God who believes in us so much that he sent his son to come and to die and to rise again. And so wouldn't it be a fantastic thing to tell a new story in your relationship? Wouldn't it be a fantastic thing to have people that will go the journey with you? We would love for you to join us. And it's as simple as visiting one of our tables in the lobby, talking to one of our activators, or just simply filling out this card for you to choose to get married for the very first time, or maybe renew those vows with a person that you want to believe the best about. I'm so thankful for this church because it's not without your generosity that we're able to accomplish these things. If it wasn't for your giving, if it wasn't for your saying yes to the mission and vision, we wouldn't be able to have a place where we can make things accessible to people. We wouldn't be able to have a place where we can invite people to take next steps. We wouldn't have a church that would take risks and say, we believe in marriage so much that we're gonna just have a big wedding ceremony in 2 weeks. And so I just wanna say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your generosity, for the fact that you continue to give, church, that you continue to believe in what God is doing here. In just a minute, we're gonna pass some buckets, and you can give back financially that way. You can also go online to activechurches.com/give, and you can give there. And there's some giving kiosks in the lobby if you want to do it that way. If you're watching online, visit us online at activechurches.com/give, and you can give there. Hi, my name's Mike. Thank you so much for engaging with us online here at Active Church. Right now in the room, we're passing some buckets, we're going online, and we're giving back. We're practicing generosity. We believe in the mission and vision of Active Church so much that we give whatever we can, our time, our talent, and our treasure to help this mission be accomplished within a 30-mile radius of our church. And you can engage that way too. You can practice generosity too by going to activechurch.com/give. We would invite you to give, we would invite you to engage, and we also want to invite you to come and hang with us in the room. I know being online is convenient, and being online is a great way to begin your relationship with Active Church, but we would love to meet you and we would love to know you, but we'd also love for you to experience what it's like to be in the room here at Active Church. The music is great, the people are great, our teams are great, and you would make it even better by showing up to a service. Maybe perhaps coming to our 10:45 service just in a few minutes. We'd love for you to come and hang out with us here at Active Church. And once again, thank you so much for engaging with us online. You matter to us, and we're so thankful for you.
we wanted to end this morning on a high note, celebrating with you all. Let's stand together and sing this one last song.
Your love won't let me down, and I know it's true. Yeah, I know that your love is all around. I believe in you, holding on to you, holding on, and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Your love won't let me down. Come on, hands up, everyone. It's your love, it won't let me down. Right when I need you, you listen as I pray. You leave the 99 for me. You paint the skies with promises of your grace. So I will find my way to you. Now I can see clearly, my God, you for me. And you won't let go. And your love is all around. And I know it's true. Yeah, I know that your love is all around. I believe in you, holding on to you, holding on, and I know you will never fail. But I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Your love won't let me down. Oh, your love won't let me down. Oh, your love won't let me down. Holding on, and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Your love won't let me down. We love you, church. Have a great weekend. All the best to you.